Welcome to Liberal 12th Man Show. I'm Liberal 12th Man, and I'm hoping that you're all doing well out there. I am, as always, got the Liver Bird gassed up and ready to go. I brought along with me JK, and I brought the Irishman with us so we can really get into some topics and talk. I know it's going to be interesting. I know everyone's all riled up and amped up over some of these reports that we're receiving. A lot of the news broke yesterday. It kind of like crescendoed somewhat yesterday, especially with some of the takes that some of the content creators were taking, and some of the and also some of the journalists were tweeting about and everything else. It's going to be an interesting little ride here. But I mean, despite that, we're gonna cruise to a good altitude, and it'll just be clear sailing as always. That's how I see it. So again, I brought JK in with us today. How you doing, JK?
All good, bro. Hope you guys do.
Good. And we brought Brian, the Irishman. Brian, how are you?
All good, man. All good. Hello to everybody. Everyone in the chat. Wow, there's loads of people already.
Okay.
Loads of people.
Yeah, loads of people already. Yeah, it's like it's quick and want to see what's going on. And I mean, it should be interesting. We're gonna have like some some moments to breathe here. I mean, I don't think that Alonso not coming to Liverpool is, or apparently as reported, choosing to stay with Leverkusen. I know that I've seen like some takes out there that go, Alonso rejects Liverpool. I don't take it as that. I don't look at it as that, and I don't want to. I'm not even trying to even remotely say that that's the way it is with this case. But there's going to be some really, really big stuff to do. Really big questions that we're going to have to still figure out and still have to work on. So. I kind of have this set up where we're going to basically go into a little bit about this manager, basically, being how we've gotten into this position that we're in, Look, I know both Liverpool and Bayern Munich were both looking at Alonso. Obviously, these two clubs were both heavily involved in trying to pursue him. He's definitely been like, a very, very big name with what he's doing right now, currently in the Bundesliga. I know that they reportedly, and this is reportedly, Liverpool were aware for some time, and maybe that's why you haven't really heard a lot, but apparently Liverpool have been aware for some time that Alonso was unlikely to leave Leverkusen in this summer. So, that's why you started to hear these reports out there talking about how we're a numbers oriented club, that we're going to basically take a lot of that into consideration by taking not having just one target and it's all or nothing, What was that? Sorry, I saw something about from Beijing Pops. You never heard a lot around our type. Yes, you never heard it a lot. You never heard the murmur of it a lot, So, let's just get into it. Alonso, is 42 years old. This is his first senior gig, basically, with Leverkusen. I mean, they sit atop the Bundesliga currently. Obviously Alonso has ties to Liverpool, being he's played for us. He's played for 2004 to 2009, right? Obviously winning a Champions League in 2005, winning an FA Cup in 2006. He has I think 210 appearances for us. But he took over this Leverkusen team in October 2022, and this is a team that was in the relegation zone, basically. Guided them to 6th place, which was phenomenal, all things considered. Again, being an appointment of a team that was in trouble, similar, very, very similar to Klopp when Klopp came to Liverpool. He was rewarded with a new contract in May that made him made his contract be extended to 2026. You know, it's one of those situations where like this is his first senior job in management. Let's not get that twisted. And it's great to see that he's doing well. But this is my personal take, and then we're going to get the panel's take as well. I am personally happy to see Xavi stay. And it's going to sound weird. And I said that, like, you know, would I've loved to have seen him as a coach? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm sure people are out there going to say, yo, stop the cap, stop the cap. You know, hearing me say this, they're going to be like, no, you know, you're hurt, you're hurt, or you're this or that. No, I'm happy. And this is why I'm happy. I'm happy because it shows the character of the manager. One that's something none of us really ever questioned. But it made so of why when I heard Bayern Munich, for instance, was involved in pursuing him, I'm like, you know, it's one thing if he doesn't choose Liverpool, but it's another thing if he goes on and chooses Bayern Munich. I'm like, that's a very, very bad determining characteristic, I would say, for me personally. That's my own opinion. And I'm like, I like the fact that he's shown loyalty to his club. I have no problem with that. You know, like he's risen that club up to now be competing for the freaking title, you know, against this juggernaut of a team, Bayern Munich, in the Bundesliga. All credit due, you know, like I like it because it's also going to possibly give us another longer test sample, you know, for him learning on the job. Like I honestly have to be making, I honestly have been making the comparison of that rebound relationship, you know, and I'm like, we're about to part ways with one of the loves of our lives, you know, in a platonic persona, okay? And whoever that next person is going to be is always going to be in the shadow of Klopp. It's just that simple, you know? And those conditions are not fair nor easy to navigate. So this door doesn't close the door on Alonso, in my opinion. It's simply like, because I know that this next manager is possibly going to be a placeholder, you know, or looked at as being a placeholder. I don't want to see it that way. I want to see it as let's give this next opportunity to the manager as being the right manager. But this doesn't close the door on Alonso possibly 2, 3, 4 years later. Who knows? What is I'm gonna give this over to the panel real quick and kind of give a good read of what you're feeling about this. We can start with JK. How are you feeling about this?
I tell you the truth, ever since Klopp sort of decided he wants to leave, I've sort of not really thought about the next guy because of the position we was in the Premier League. We were top at the time when he told us that he's leaving. Hence why I wasn't really bothered about that topic. I think if we were sitting in 4th, 5th, or 6th or something like that, I think the fans would have been more interested in the who's coming in next, you know. Yesterday's news, I've always said that when you look around the world, each country will try to improve the league that's in their country that they're sort of broadcasting about. Sky Sports, for example, in Germany, going over the top about Harry Kane. And this sort of news has sort of come from Germany where Alonso wants to stay. I've also heard that many people are saying that he's still going to come. So we're in that sort of predicament where we don't know what's going on. I think the distraction of us fighting for this league title is going to keep us fans sort of grounded about that topic. I think I'm not really going to be focused on the new guy yet. That's my opinion. I just want Klopp to win us that league, and then when the season's over, I think I will really think about that topic then.
Okay. Brian, how do you feel about this? I mean, like, I know I said a lot, but I mean, like, how are your feelings about it? You can get it off your chest here.
Well, we spoke last night when we heard that he was staying in Germany. There wasn't anything. It was just that he was staying in Germany. And I said that that to me said he was staying at Leverkusen. Because I just felt like that's the way it was going, you know. If he was going to stay, I just thought, yeah, he's going to stay there. He's not going to do that, whatever way you want to look at it, disrespectful move, sideways move. You know, at the same time, he would, if he was to go to Bayern, it would be it's not like he got poached by some super club that he doesn't have any attachment to. He's played there a long time.
Right.
But I still thought that for him as a manager, I thought he's always been a clever guy, clever footballer. Clearly he knows the football world inside out. He knows how, his family are coaches. He knows how to make the right decisions.
Right.
And he got to time stuff right. But I could always have seen him going, right, this we do, and then one more, a Champions League campaign with Leverkusen, to kind of make it a proper body of work there. That's what I was kind of thinking he might want to do, because he has that kind of patience and that intelligence to look at a coaching career and think, yeah, you don't need to rush it, because you only get the Liverpool job once. You only get the Real Madrid job. Well, I was going to say you only get the Real Madrid job once, but
right. I know what you mean, though.
You only fail.
Opportunities don't come up. Opportunities don't come up that often.
They rehire guys, like they've rehired an Ancelotti, recently, these super coach types. But I mean, you only get a chance to fail there once. You can't go there, do badly, and then you, as a young coach, again, never say never. But I'm speaking generally, especially a club like Liverpool. If Steven Gerrard was come to Liverpool and be absolutely shocking for 2 years and finishes in 11th, like, he's never getting the job again. Even in 15 years' time, he probably wouldn't be getting the job again. So I'm glad that he's picked the right, choice for him. That it shows, like you said, that the loyalty thing and all that, but it also shows that he's not going to have his head turned too early. Again, JK is saying there, this is coming from their side. So if it were to change, but it seems like he's decided to do that. And to be honest, it's kind of like we were talking the other night about certain players, and it's like, well, what do you expect? That's what you get. It's like being annoyed with Suarez for being a bit of a dick. It's like, well, that's Suarez. I kind of expected Alonso to make a good decision for himself like this, not to run straight to the Madrid job or run straight. He'll want to come to Liverpool, and I think he's doing that. Again, it doesn't always work, but that clever thing of not being the guy who follows Klopp.
Right.
I think that there'll be lots of things that will inform his decision, but not being the guy that has to follow Klopp might be one of them. So fair play to him for sticking with Leverkusen. And look, everyone knows my favourite player, but I don't get hung up on stuff these days too much. If he doesn't want to come, he doesn't want to come. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we move on. We look at the next guy, but we can keep an eye on Alonso. We'll watch his progress, because in 3 years this will be a thing again.
Yeah,
maybe hopefully, because hopefully I was going to say in 2 years, but I don't want us to have. I don't want us to get a new manager and then to be getting rid of him in 2 years. I don't want to be going.
If we're getting a new manager in 2 years, that's concerning, because that probably means that we haven't really been doing well.
Yeah, but let's So hopefully that won't be an issue. But I think maybe it's he as I was saying last night, I think the guy will hope to maximize his career and hope to be able to do what he did as a player, and to manage these top clubs that he played for, Liverpool, Bayern, Real Madrid, hopefully, if his career works out for him. So I'm sure he'll have one eye on us, and we'll always have one eye on him. And I think a meeting in the future is inevitable. But I'm happier for him. I know everyone wanted him now. Oh, we'll never get him again. Don't worry about that. But him with 4 more years of top level management under his belt, and then coming to Liverpool. Hey, if you have to play the long game, play the long game.
Yeah. I'm gonna include some of these comments here as well, guys. I know that you guys are definitely really involved in this conversation, and I appreciate it. I'm gonna definitely make sure that what you're saying gets included.
Yeah. That
we can chop it up, and make sure that we all get like what we have to say out, basically, because I know that it hasn't been an easy ever since this announcement. It kind of really knocked a lot of people off of like a lot of us were just focused on this quad, albeit we're not longer going for the quad. We're now going for our own personal treble. But it was more so like at the time we were all just concentrating on this quad. That's all we're thinking about. Silverware. Let's just get this silverware. And then when we got hit with the news of Klopp leaving, it really put like us on our back heels. Some of us on our back heels, at least, because I mean it was an abrupt announcement of his departure. None of us, no one. I don't think any person really had Klopp leaving. And I know, despite what it might be out there, the timeline that we've seen, like as in, I want to dismiss the fact I don't believe the timeline really accredits this having to do anything with Edwards, has to do nothing with that run, in my own personal opinion, because I think the timeline doesn't link up. It just doesn't sync. Okay, like no matter when and where we knew, it just doesn't sync because we had already started, and he had already said no to us anyway. But Edwards had already started. That the pursuit of Edwards started after Klopp had already announced his exit. So I'm going to include some of these chats in here. I'm going to bring up some of these chats because there's some good statements in here as well. I'm going to bring up. I've starred some of them. So let's see. It was Honesty saying, I was listening to a space in X or Twitter, and some of these fans act like Amaron is Alan Pardo. And they compared, compared Amaron losing in the finals to Mood Conference League when it's mad. That's from Honesty. Keep It Real says, anybody else looking forward to Amaron as manager? He's definitely the guy coming in. Joyce is doing articles about him and nobody else. That's what Keep It Real has to say. Lee is saying, I just sat through a lot of bullocks on another channel. Glad to be amongst intelligent folk. Hey, brethren, I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that and the fact that you're here too, He's saying, personally, I like that FSG plays his cards close to the chest. I've always said that too. I mean, like a lot of times you hear a lot of these rumors and such, and you got to take them for what it's worth. There's reasons why some of these reporters that used to be very, very palsy with the club are no longer getting those insider scoops. Simply because they've announced things before they were allowed to announce things, I think.
They were probably at Carrington, bro. That's why. They're probably at Carrington doing reports.
Yeah, exactly.
You know one of that.
Pop says, happy wife, happy life. His kids are probably settled at school, and Mrs. is probably good too. So wishing him well in the Bundesliga. School, yeah, big up, no doubt. Pop's a fellow football romantic. I like that. Lee says, we don't want a caretaker, and this is coming off, I guess, what I said about placeholder, and I didn't say that we need a placeholder or that we want a placeholder. I'm just trying to get across the fact that I don't want a placeholder. Like, as in, I want this next manager to be the manager that brings us success, but also is a possible successor that brings us 2, 3, 4, 5 years of success. Not someone that's going to bring us like this stuff. Oh, let's just have this guy that's going to get us top 4, and as his target, and then have to deal with looking for another manager or hoping that another manager is out there that is willing to take on that role. No, I'd rather have a manager that's going to say, hey, this is our future. This is the manager. Let's present our future. Let's start manifesting and creating our future. That's my point and take. Lee Wiska says, I said that one. And then let's see. Pop says, no placeholders out here. This club is ready to win now. Spot on with that comment, Pops. And Keep It Real says, yeah, exactly, Pops. Liverpool aren't dumb to do some of the fire sale in the summer for all the big stars that would just put us into the mid-table straight away. That's another thing too. We also have to continue to keep in mind, we need a manager that's going to be able to put enough assurance and belief in these current players, some of which, again, we've got 3 names, I'm sure, that are on the tip of our tongues here, that are in the last year of their contracts. And knowing what the next manager or who the next manager is very, very, very important to them putting pen to paper, like as in no one wants to play for a manager that doesn't really believe in them or doesn't have them in their sights, or them in their mind or belief of who and what is going to be a part of the future of Liverpool. So that's exactly so. And then I only have like two more or 3 more, excuse me, after this. Yeah, exactly. Pops, Liverpool aren't dumb. Oh, I already said that one. Sorry. One of the big shout out to Norm in the house. Definitely, we got a beer ready for you, brother. Definitely, go hang out. Cliff's already here too. And then the manager pool isn't really really deep. So not taking one of those big jobs now won't necessarily shut the door on a possible move. Pops continues and ends by saying, "Who is buying our big boys? Who can't afford them? We keep trying to sell Mo to Saudi. Does he look like a man who is done with Champions League football?" Those are all very, very good points. Do you have any readings from what some of the chat's saying? Brian, do you have any like some of those takes? Most notably, Pop's last take right there, which was like, the manager pool isn't that big, and a lot of these players that we're talking about, a lot of them are so big that it's going to be interesting who would even want to step up and try to take some of these players, and why we would want to get rid of some of these players. I mean,
everyone is
parts of our success.
Everyone has started to pick up on that in the last couple of weeks, in terms of the way that they're talking in the media and stuff, because they look around. I've been looking around. We've all been looking around.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, like JK was saying earlier on, the days of there being always 2 or 3 top class, international class overcoat managers out there, an Ancelotti that can come into any club, a Mourinho, Rafa Benitez, I'm talking about when they were in their prime, these kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's that level of manager. It's not really there at the moment. You talk about maybe even people like Gus Hiddink, Louis van Gaal, these kind of experienced guys. There's all now, basically, they're all now new super coaches. They're all now the new young hot thing. Nagelsmann, De Zerbi, Alonso, Amorim, even Thiago Motta, who someone hasn't been mentioned and should be mentioned. But that's it. It's all, everyone is trying to pick the next one.
Right.
Inzaghi,
right.
They're all, there's no one out there that can go, right, well, this will steady the ship. It's not about a caretaker. This is about bringing in someone who isn't an 8-year plan or whatever. It's to bring in someone until you can see what the lay of the land is, It's it's very difficult. Everyone is trying to get it right by, is it Amorim? Is it De Zerbi? Is it Motta? Is it Inzaghi? Is it Nagelsmann? Is it whoever? But no one has that CV. Alonso had the CV in a very short period of time. He could have a European trophy and a Bundesliga, but no experience. Again, I said he'd get the soft landing, so he was going to be the best shout. But it's all about, nobody out there can say definitively that manager A will be better than manager B when they come to Liverpool. Because even the big manager, even a big name manager, will have a job on his hands to succeed at Liverpool. Not because it's a bad club, because it's a big job. So nobody out there can say, oh, Amorim will definitely be better than Nagelsmann, or, you know what I'm saying? There's no one out there that can really stand up and say he's got the CV on this. So it's about picking the right guy, and that's why these Richard Hughes appointments, the Richard Hughes appointment is so important, because these are the guys that are going to be making that very decision. that decision that's going to be chopped up, as people talk about, and dissected and gone over and over in so many streams until we get one. Everyone's going to be talking about this guy versus that guy. It's actually one or two people, Richard Hughes, with maybe some input from other people, but oversight from Michael Edwards, but not a direction from Michael Edwards in who the next manager is going to be. So it's an incredibly difficult choice, and there is no standard. There is no clear or obvious answer, and what there certainly isn't is a wrong answer.
Right.
There's no wrong answer to this question. Unless, from the list, obviously Southgate is the wrong answer, or whatever is the wrong answer. But like someone, I think Norm was saying there, whoever comes in, we have to back them. We have to give them full support.
Absolutely.
Because it won't work otherwise. If we don't, it won't work.
Absolutely.
It's look, even if he's not your guy or if he's not your man, we've got to trust the people that are in charge. We've got to trust the people who appoint the people who appoint the people. They've gotten it pretty good so far. They've done okay. Yeah. But again, it's the elephant in the room with all of this is the following the Klopp bit. So that's the something that you can't watch someone on a training pitch and see how they coach, and watch them in a press conference and see how they handle the media, and look at their league results and see how they do there. You cannot weigh up the can he follow Klopp bit? Can he move to Liverpool and settle? Can his family come?
It's going to be difficult, Brian. That's going to be very, very difficult to maneuver. You know how our fan base is. The some of the questions and some of the conversations that we have on these forums are always, whether it's, it hasn't necessarily been about the managers, because Klopp hasn't had to really. The managers that Klopp's often compared to nowadays are legendary managers in our career, or in our history. So that's different, But one thing you do see a lot of is how a lot of our players, for instance, are often, even our current players are often, compared to and often ridiculed or even, put on display simply because they don't measure up to possible past legends or possible past players that have played the same role or position possibly. I'm not going to bring up names, but we all know who some of those names are quite often. And it's one of those things where, do I expect people not to do that for our coach? That's lofty expectations, unfortunately. And I'm hoping that they take your advice, Brian, and not fall into that gambit of trying to like consistently say, oh, well, Klopp would have done this or Klopp would have done that. It doesn't matter what Klopp would have done. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what we were getting from Klopp come the summertime. It matters what this coach can bring us, okay? Or whatever coach we end up getting. But JK, you want to comment on some of the comments that I read off?
Yeah, one was about FSG holding the cards to their chest and stuff. Only when it suits them, I believe. I think the way they've handled this Klopp, Edwards, the new manager sort of topic in the middle of a season where we're going for everything, bad timing. They keep sort of the cards close when it concerns signings, hence because they don't want the price to go high. When there's speculation out, Liverpool are after this guy. Other clubs like, we want to have a look at that as well, So they only keep the cards close when it sort of suits them, I'm really sort of getting, I wouldn't say tired of this topic. I'm just saying that we just don't need this right now, We just don't need this, We got a game on Sunday against Brighton, and in the press conference today, the journalists will mention Alonso a few times. I'm thinking, why are you talking about Alonso to Jurgen Klopp? Jurgen's there answering questions. I'm like, God, man, it's not the sort of situation I really want to be in right now. Considering we've got Sunday a game, the Thursday a game, and then we got United. So for me, my mind's set on them games,
Yeah. I'm gonna read out I'm gonna read out the quote by Alonso too. But I'm gonna just give a little bit of my own say too before I even read the quote here, because we were just talking about Klopp, and it's just kind of funny because I know this is, in my personal opinion, again, this is like for all those people out there that are, and I know we do have some that are a part, and it's open. You can be a Klopp, you can be like, hey, you never were a Klopp fan, or you weren't supportive of Klopp, or this or that, blah blah blah. But like for a lot of the Klopp outers, it's kind of a wake up call too, especially those that were pro Klopp but then turned into Klopp outers at some point. And it's kind of a wake up call to kind of recognize the fact that, look, great managers don't grow a dime a dozen. They simply just don't grow a dime a dozen. And I think like we've been, one of the reasons why, especially I've been so defensive when it comes to trying to support our managers, because of that simple fact. I think that we've been blessed with not only a world-class gaffer, but one of the best in his job, period, that has always provided us the insurance that we could compete. We possibly could go for silverware. We could be, that kind of like insurance of knowing that we have someone that's been there, tried and trusted in a sense, and these type of insurances will be absent next year because we're going into new what's it called? New horizons, or new land, or something along those lines. I'll get it right. But the difference is, unlike, for instance, with Manchester United, for instance, when Fergie left, their team was a wreck. Their team was like on the last legs. He left them with like bare bones crap in essence, somewhat, and then handed it off to his Eric's successor. And I was like, okay, makes sense, but it didn't work out, as we can all know, and we can all see. Our team is set up for the future. Our team is definitely in a great place. It's the reason why we're competing on all fronts. And the level of manager of Klopp or Pep only exists really between these two type of players right now. I get you can say Mourinho, or you might some say Conte or something like that. Look, I think those managers, their primes are beyond them. That's my humble opinion. Not saying they're not legends, but I am saying that I just think that their window has gone. Their window of you tying 3, 4, 5 years of this club's future to them is not a good idea. So with that said, I'm going to get into the speculation to what Alonso had to say. This is his quote. He goes, quote, "Speculation is normal," Alonso said, of talks linking him with succeeding Klopp earlier this year. He says, "What Jurgen has done in Liverpool, I have a lot of respect for and great admiration for what he has done over the last few years. He's achieved a lot. My focus," or this is him speaking, "my focus is here at Bayern Leverkusen. I have a lot of motivation to do good work here. I am very content and happy with the team and the club. So this is my focus. My focus is not on May. It is on tomorrow and Gladbach, and on helping my players be ready for tomorrow. We'll see what happens at Liverpool." That was what he had to say. And I think we have to have the same mindset. As I heard Pop say, our mindset has to be on this Sunday. It has to be on what we have to do against Brighton. Plain and simple. Win these games out. Let's send this gaffer out with like some real glory of winning the league, of winning the Europa. Heck, we might even see Xabi Alonso in the Europa. Who knows? But let's just concentrate on what game is in front of us. That's where I'm at with this. A lot of great comments too, by the way. Thank you to the chat. Guys are really engaged today, by the way. I like it a lot. JK, do you have some kind of read from that when he says we'll see what happens at Liverpool? Obviously he's not ruling it out as being something that he could have possibly thought of or something like that, but what are some of the thoughts from that comment that he had to say?
Yeah, it's just like a guy who's married and you ask him about his new girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
It's that sort of question. He's not going to be feeling sort of comfortable, them questions being asked. I remember the time when Klopp was interviewed about when he was leaving. They sort of interviewed Alonso on the same day, I think, or the day after. The guy wasn't comfortable, you know. But reading by his body language, it's like John Henry's already gave him a phone call to say, lad, you're coming here. So that's why it's up and down now. I think with the whole social media world, you got guys who are saying they're reporters coming out with stories like Southgate, for example. I was like, yo, where are we going with this? You know, Southgate, the guy who never picks Liverpool players to play for the that is for me the biggest out of all the people who have been sort of speculated to come to Liverpool. Seeing the Southgate name made me think, you know what? Why didn't some of us guys take our coaching badges? You know, when you got donkeys like Southgate who can be in charge of the England team after not being in charge of any club, you know, that's what football is now. I think if you're the image, if your image is right, if your name's right, if you're in the right place at the right time, you're going to get a good job, you know. Also, people like Moisey, he was the Man United manager after Fergie left. He failed, but he's been in the job ever since. And that's what football is nowadays, you know. You fail somewhere, don't worry, there'll be someone else ready for you to be taken, you know.
Yeah. Ryan,
I think he's at least put it to bed there, at least hopefully now, you know, for himself. I think this was all building up too much with the speculation what he's doing, you know. So he's just come out and now everyone knows he's not going anywhere. His fans know he's not going anywhere. His players know he's not going anywhere.
Right.
So all the rumors can be put to bed now about him, and he can get on with his life. And Ruben Amorim can get used to people showing up outside his house taking photographs or something.
You
know,
now
so
he becomes the target.
Number one guy. So with something like Southgate, you know, if it's,
I can't believe we're even bringing that name up, but go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You know?
If a Manchester United fan tweets, makes up a tweet and puts it out that Liverpool are interested in Gareth Southgate, and I think it shows you more about some Liverpool fans out there that would instantly think he was getting the job, because that's how much they hate the ownership. They instantly go, yeah, that's typical FSG. We're getting Southgate.
They're going to take those takes. Yeah, that's
why. Why? Because some 12-year-old Man United fan tweeted on Twitter. Some guy that doesn't have a journalism job.
Right.
You know, why not? Yeah. What? Like, that's just pure utter nonsense. So people already getting angry about it online. It's like, geez, man, have you not seen this shit before?
Yeah.
So stop it. You know, we're going to get linked with fun. Like, people are going to troll you by saying, "Oh, I heard you were linked with Sam Allardyce." You know, would you believe that? If you know, and some people would believe that because that's how quick, that's how eager they are to hate on FSG. Because look, typical FSG. Yeah, because the last guy we appointed was Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, because FSG are always appointing crap people like Jurgen Klopp and Michael Edwards. We always make crap appointments, don't they? Typical FSG. Come on, you know, like, go at them for something that you want to, that's there. You know, this is pure nonsense. Southgate wouldn't get a cleaning job at Anfield, let alone a manager's job.
Yeah, that's very true. I think some of the chat agrees with you as well on some of the takes I've seen. I'm gonna bring up some of the chat here again. Again, I like including you guys in the chat in the conversation. So please do put your questions in. You know, put your comments in if you guys hear a take or this or that. You know, keep it classy as always. You know, keep it classy, but always this is definitely the place to be. You know, if you're going to want to engage in some really good dialogue and discourse. Hylord goes to say, what is important today is to realize that today wasn't a no for Liverpool from Alonso, but a no to Bayern Munich, who once again next season will face Alonso at Leverkusen. That is big. That is big. That's why I said again, that's why I was very happy that he didn't. It would be one thing if he had said no to Liverpool and then had left Leverkusen and had gone to Bayern Munich. You know, I voiced this time and time again with Brian, and sometimes
probably Thomas Frank Stefano.
What's that?
Sorry. I didn't mean to speak. Sorry. Just quick. Stefano saying in the modern game, who would be comparable to us getting Brendan Rodgers back in 2012? And sorry, I was thinking out loud, but I'll just say Thomas Frank. I'd say would be the closest thing to
Thomas,
us
okay.
getting to getting to
Okay.
Brendan. That would be my shout on that anyway.
Who was, and that was a name that was, kind of
Mhm.
circulating a little bit, possibly as a replacement to Klopp as well. Obviously, we all know De Zerbi's out there too. I'm just speaking on the lines of
Yeah.
of player, or excuse me, coaches in the Prem at least.
The Tottenham guy.
I am going to get into a segment coming up about, if not Alonso, then who, basically. And I guess, I don't want to necessarily frame it as plan B options as well, because I don't want to make it seem like, you're not I don't want to put it as like
it is though.
more, yeah, I know.
It is though. It is. Even managers know. Our managers are cool with that. It's like, we get it. I wasn't your first choice. It's like, I get it. If it was Southampton and De Zerbi was like, you thought you could get me and you interviewed someone else first. Okay, Southampton. But if it's Liverpool, it's like, yeah, okay. Like some guys got the job because, the big guys go, or they pull it, whatever. It's like, you got to take your shot. So I don't think anyone would be offended by that. They'd just be delighted just to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no,
but they are our plan B, really, aren't they? I mean, we all.
Right, yeah. Technically, yes.
Technically,
yes. I'm just trying to say.
Unfortunately,
I just don't want that narrative to be the one that continues to get pushed.
No.
Because then it'll seem like,
what can we call
he is
it?
a placeholder, or he isn't. This isn't, who know, is even more uncertainty on being put into this manager's role. Like, because I know, again, from what I'm going to say, it'll bring a little more clarity to the reason why I'm saying it too. But let me get through some of these other chats as well. Stephen was saying, we are a top 6 club in the world and we can't get a manager. I don't think that's the case, Stephen. I think that we're on the verge of getting a good manager. It just so happens that this manager, Alonso, decided to take a pledge of loyalty to his club, and that's something that you have to appreciate and I think appreciate and realize that that's what you would want for your own club. We'd want that for this club. I don't want, as much as I've said it time and time again, I don't want a manager, nor do I want players looking at this club as a stepping stone. I don't want that ever to be the mindset, whether it means that we have to continuously build and build more so, in our current future, our current history, at least. We have to solidify that more by getting more trophies and as such. Cool. All of us want trophies, but it's difficult to sometimes just rely on history that is 40, 50, 60 years ago. Sometimes you have to create things that relate to players and even managers now that says this is not something that you're talking about yesteryear, you're talking about now as well. And that's what I want to see with this club. I want to see them continue to build on that historic, legacy that we've created, but also continue to build on that legacy currently. And that's just my take.
I feel that when you look at Alonso, when he was with us, he stayed with us for how many years? Was it
2004 to 2009, I believe.
Okay, 5 years. So his dream move was Spain, Real Madrid, and he ended up going there. I think as manager as well, maybe he would have come in and then down the line, maybe ended up at Madrid. Klopp, we all loved him because we knew he's going to stay. There was no bigger club for him than us. I think with a lot of South American, Spanish-linked people, the big jobs are Barca and Real Madrid. Hence why they will probably end up there one day. Alonso, in a weird sort of way, I'm sort of respecting Alonso's decision that he wants to stay with Bayer Leverkusen. I think he probably think he can win the Champions League with them guys.
Why are people putting numbers in the chat?
What's that?
What have I missed? Why are people putting numbers in the chat? What have I missed?
No, he's putting five years. He's been with us for 5 years. I think that's
Alonso was with us.
Alonso.
Oh, how long was he here? Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah, 4. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, 4 seasons. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so that
From
loyalty thing
2004 to
is
2009, he was with us. Yeah.
yeah, so 5 years. So for me, I just feel that he feels he can do something with his team at Leverkusen.
Yeah.
Hence why he's sort of saying. I think I also said a few weeks ago that if Alonso was second or third, and there wasn't going to really win the title from Bayern,
Mm-hmm.
I feel he might have taken the job. Like right, he would have decided, yeah, I'm going to go to Liverpool. I think because he's going to win the league with them guys, it sort of made him want to say, you know what, I need to stay loyal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the reason why I think. Because if they win
Yeah.
it, he's going to stay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me see some more of these comments here. Let me see, make sure I have this. Okay, yeah, make sure I have them all set up here. Oops. All right, sorry about that. I got some of them out of order. Okay, I got it now. So Philip just says one of our content creators doesn't believe. Oh, we already read that one. It says evening Alonso. Alonso's no was a perfect timing for the Real Madrid, in which he was favored to get until Ancelotti extended his contract. That's a good point too. Like as in Real Madrid is a possible final choice or final selection for Alonso as well. I mean, he has ties to Real Madrid, and obviously he's Spanish. So I mean, like returning to your home country wouldn't necessarily be out of the question. So that could be.
Go back to Sociedad too. You can guarantee you that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you can guarantee he'll go back to Sociedad.
In one way or another, yes.
Yeah, in one way or another, yeah. As a manager, like they're more.
Or even as maybe as even when he gets out of management, maybe as as a upper managerial job or something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, even if like he's not super successful somewhere else,
mm-hmm.
Not like Uber, so goes everywhere, wins everything. He's the next Ancelotti kind of thing. Wins European Cups. Like even if he goes to Real Madrid or wherever it is, like he'll still go back there.
Mm-hmm.
If Alonso, yeah, exactly. Keep it real. Yeah. I think he'll go back. But it's all like us. It's like, oh, I think Alonso wants to do this. I've never met Xabi Alonso. Oh, unfortunately, do you think I'd stop talking about it if I had? Do you think I'd ever stop talking about it? But like I don't know what he wants to do. I don't know what his plans are. I'm just assuming, footballers, you have your little bucket list. Wouldn't it be great to do this and wouldn't it be great to do that?
Sure.
And he's played for these top clubs and he's played for. So yeah, what a perfect career it would be to have played for and managed
one of the teams he played
Sociedad,
with.
but all of them, Sociedad, because it's not unreasonable, right? It's not unreasonable for him to manage Bayern, Real Madrid, Sociedad and Liverpool in the next 20 years, 25 years as a manager. Mm-hmm. What a career that would be to manage and play for all these clubs. That would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But again, for all we know, his dream might be to go do 10 years and then give up and become a rally driver like V.S. Boas did or something. Who fucking knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Right? Who knows?
Yeah, it looks to me.
Maybe he wants to like be an astronaut. Who knows?
We see a lot of these boys.
Who knows what he wants to do like that? Yeah, certainly so.
But a lot of these boys that we're talking about, the older managers and stuff, these guys retired and they needed income.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those guys that retired in the 80s, even when they were on $5,000 a week, $6,000 a week, and in the 80s and 90s, huge money back then.
Mm-hmm.
But when they retired, they needed careers. They all bought pubs or they all bought this or they all did that. A lot of them go bankrupt, but that's a fact. But they need income. It's very hard to go from earning $50,000 a week for say 15 years, right, and then all of a sudden earning $0 a week, just nothing, flat nothing. So those boys used to have to go out and do stuff, but a lot of these footballers now, they're not under as much pressure. To go straight. Yeah, they're a lot more comfortable. Like obviously.
I get. Yes,
the likes of the Alonsos.
Yeah.
You know, they're not that. You know, they don't need work to. So they don't need to work
A lot of
as
managers
much.
don't need to work like that either. To be honest with you,
Get sacked a few
a
times,
lot of
man.
the
You
managers
go
are
to
making a
Chelsea.
lot more money today in today's game. A lot of these managers are making a lot more money.
Go to
than
Chelsea and get sacked, and then go
Potter,
to
Potter. He don't need
yeah.
to work
yeah,
again, Potter.
yeah. Go like that's what I was talking about. Villas-Boas. You know,
Mhm, mhm.
he got fired by Chelsea, and he got fired by Spurs, and I think it made him about 20 million quid in total. Like that stuff gets over reported. It comes down a bit, by the time it filtered out, but made like 15, 16 million quid just by getting sacked. Could retire for 2 years, went off, and paid for himself to become a Paris Dakar rally driver and and do all this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So yeah, like a couple of bad. You go to the Premier League, get a couple of good jobs, get sacked by him. You've probably got 8 million in quid or in the bank, and there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Alonso, he's not under pressure to do things. I just look. He's gone. Look, he's off the table now. That's the way I see it.
Mhm.
He's off the. And like I said earlier on, we'll keep an eye on him, and no doubt he'll be keeping an eye on us. And we'll
Yeah,
meet
no,
somewhere
yeah,
down the line. Our paths will cross again, and we'll see how it goes then.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, let me get some of these comments before we get into this next little segment that I have set up for us. Norm says, biggest reason I wanted Alonso was stability. He felt he would bring that, but I tell you one thing, whoever it is gets my support. That's noble. Norm, big up to you, brother. Yeah, I'm with you on that completely. And Lee goes on to say he agrees Salah is super competitive and will want to play at the highest level for as long as he. This is about about our
back.
our big guys, big boys signing. The last other, let me get some of these, a couple of these out at least. And this is a good point too, though. Like MK Toe is saying that hopefully he doesn't get sick of his own players getting poached. Like, look, I'm sure Leverkusen is going to really be put into a position of really having to make some big choices here, because there's going to be some clubs. Namely, I would be not at all surprised if Bayern Munich comes knocking for some of their players, some of the big guys, big names that have helped them reach the success levels that they've reached. That's completely. And whether Leverkusen makes a commitment to say no, we're more focused on silverware as opposed to cashing in, and that's going to be very big, and it's going to be a very big. I would almost assume, this is only an assumption again, I would almost assume that Leverkusen has made a very big pledge to make sure that he gets to keep this core of players somewhat intact, and if not intact, that they would make a real viable push to bring in some type of quality player in return for the money, not just sit on the money and kind of take it for what it is. Stefano goes on to say, De Zerbi, not for me. His top three are Inzaghi, Amarin, and Roberto Mancini. Okay.
No, thank you.
There's a question for you guys.
Cool.
Here's a question. I have a couple of questions here. I'll knock out some of these questions here for you. It says, if we don't get Almiron and we get a Thomas Frank, who would the fan base blame? FSG, Edwards, or Hughes?
Oh, Christ.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have
proofread that one out before I said that. I didn't want to get into it. But I could say my own answer would be, you know what? It's obvious. The fan base is going to criticize, namely FSG's first. That's first and foremost, period. Then they'll move on to, say Edwards, because they'll probably try to utilize the Edwards thing as being a knock against him, being this is his first major decision. And they'll even lump in Hughes because, hey, why not, right? That's sometimes how the fan base gets.
But Frank, his personality suits us. I'm not sure about his football brain, but personality-wise, he's the type of guy we need. Him and the guy from Tottenham. We need them sort of guys who they've got personality. They're not really brain dead. or like a Southgate, just for the camera says what he needs to say and stuff. So Frank, personality-wise, Postecoglou also, they would suit us that way.
Right. I agree with that completely. You want to say something real quick, Brian? And then I'm going to get into this next segment after that. But go ahead. And I've started your questions, chat. I've started your questions. What we're going to do is I'll circle back and I'll get to a lot of your questions at the end. I have a segment for just your questions and for your comments as well, especially. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, well, look, I don't blame honesty for that, but it's these people. This is their job now. Like, so I don't really like. What annoys me is this, like we said last night, these little Jessica Fletchers out there, these little Poirots out there that will see a deal that they don't like and go, oh, Edwards' fingerprints are all over that, or Richard Hughes that was a Richard Hughes deal, or that was an Edwards thing. It's like, yeah, that's their job. They make those decisions. Don't, like, if you're wondering, like, oh, is this an Edwards thing? It's a Hughes thing. That's them. That's their freaking job, is to make football decisions. The guy that's coming in will be a Hughes decision. The players that come in tandem, that's how the club works. That's the guys. You don't need to wonder, is it this guy? Is it that guy? Was it FSG? FSG hired Edwards. Edwards hired Hughes. Hughes hires the manager. That's how it works. It's not that complicated. So if you're wondering who hired somebody, it's the guy directly above him. He answers to the guy above him. And they answer to the people above them. And eventually you get to John Henry. But it basically goes John Henry, Michael Edwards, who's now in charge of FSG's football operations, not Liverpool, not solely Liverpool. So he hires someone to run Liverpool, solely Liverpool, Michael Hughes in that department. Not getting too into the weeds on it. But yeah, if you're wondering who's doing those deals, these are the people. So don't, if you want to blame someone, blame someone. But there shouldn't be there's nothing weird going on behind the scenes here. We know who's in charge of things. The manager will pick the players. Football director picks the manager. They work in tandem to bring in players. They work in, there will be a power balance there. But this is how our club works. We don't have a manager who picks the players that he wants to buy.
Right,
it's a power structure. So there shouldn't be any, this is an Edwards deal, this is an Edwards that. No, it's probably a Hughes deal. It's just some people still think Edwards is doing his old job. He's not. He's doing a completely new job. And like he said, he only came back because he's more interested in this expansion thing, new club, He just wants Liverpool to be part of his little intrigue, but not all of it. Edwards has got his eye on the bigger, wider picture, and it's Mr. Hughes here. So like with a manager, like with a new player, I don't know this Hughes guy. I don't know what he's done, but I'm not going to slag him off before he's in the door. I'm not going to say he's this, he's that. I'm going, look, these guys should be able to sit in the background and just, do a good job without anyone really noticing. And it shouldn't be a big talking point, but it is now. But I don't see the point. Like, he's been hired. It's his job. He works for us now. So I'm going to give him a shot and see how he does. I don't really see any other way of doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about him.
Taking the stance of Norm, in a sense, like as in the comment that Norm put, in the sense of, whoever is the coach that we choose, we have to get behind him and support him, and we have to really believe in the choice that was made, having been made for a reason. I would say is what you're getting at too.
Yeah, it's like if that guy walked in tomorrow and says, "I want to bring Brendan Rodgers back," Edwards is not going to say nothing to him. You're like, bro, you're not right there. We don't want to bring him back. So I think he might come back with a few options. Maybe the Edwards guy will clarify him, then up to John Henry or whoever is above them. I think Frank has sort of knocked the nail on the head with the way Edwards left because of Klopp. And then all of a sudden, Klopp says on a Monday, for example, I'm leaving. And on the Tuesday, Edwards walks straight back in. For me, that's too much FSG sort of playing games with the way they've handled Klopp in his last year with the club. I think tell the fans he wants to leave. Why didn't he just do at the end of the season, win the league? He's going to hurt this guy.
I don't know if that, just to bring some clarity too, I don't believe that was more so it was going to be leaked. And I think that was
They
just
say that,
FSG and the club trying to get ahead of it. I mean, that was the most impromptu. It wasn't like they had that. It was the one more impromptu, press conferences and all the other stuff, or not press conference or interviews that they set up, announcing his decision. I think that was more so. It was going to be leaked, and rather than if any good organization always knows that you want to get ahead, you want to be in front of a leak before the story engulfs you. You want to basically direct the story. You want to be the best way, or figure out the best way to direct the story. And so yeah, JK. JK will pop back on, I'm sure. But that's just my take from it as well.
Yeah.
Make sure I get JK involved in here. I wanted to get into. I just wanted to get into these Plan B options, but I'll let you get a quick comment in there, Irishman.
Well, no, it's just like I'm not disagreeing with Frank, or Frank is agreeing with me or what, but Frank is saying it's all down to Henry, and that's what I'm saying here is that the players are on the pitch are picked by the manager is picked by a sporting director is picked by the manager of the football club above him, and he answers to John Henry. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is my point I'm trying to make. Everything comes down to the person above. So there is a person that owns everything that goes on, everything that happens at the end of the day, it will be down to what that. But I think saying that Henry forced Klopp out, I'm going to be old school, and I'm going to say Klopp did an interview and he explained why he was leaving, and I believed that. I believed that he's worn out. Okay, the timings or something, they're happening at the same time afterwards. Maybe it became easier to bring Edwards back after Klopp was leaving. But I genuinely believe Klopp's reasoning for saying why he was leaving. He knew he was going to be burnt out. That's what he came out and he did an interview. So if we're going to go against that, then that would be to accuse Jurgen Klopp of lying to the fans in that interview. He came out and he did an interview and he said why he was leaving. If the story isn't that, if the story is that he couldn't handle Edwards coming back and he's leaving because of that, then we're saying he sat down and he lied in that interview.
Mm-hmm.
He lied directly to the fans and he directly to the camera. So, okay, if we want to go with Klopp lied to us and it was about stuff behind the scenes, okay, fair enough. But I'd like to believe that Klopp looked at it and said, I can't do this for another 2 years. Maybe there is some friction with Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there is. Yeah, and Frank, you're right to disagree, of course. But I mean, I believe the guy. When Klopp sat down and said, I'm burnt out, I don't want to do this for another 2 years, I believed him. Okay, it's not really my opinion. I'm just saying that that's what I believed. I don't live over there. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So if it is true that Klopp couldn't stand the idea of working it with Edwards and he came out and left because of that, well, okay, I don't know that. But all I know is what he said in the interview. So I'm going to give that, some credit as well. He is here nearly 10 years. It would make sense that he might have had enough of it by now.
Yeah. No, that's the thing about it is a lot of times with a lot of these coaches, I know some of us have the mindset of like, we have a unique coach in the fact of he stayed here for 9 years. But can you name other coaches that have stayed at a club for more than approaching 10 years? You can't.
No, they don't do that no more. Yeah.
They just don't. The amount of pressure, the amount of time and that it takes to be a manager today is enormously taxing on a lot of people, or on a person in general. So that era of Wenger, 20 some odd years or whatever it was, or obviously Klopp or these other managers, it just does not happen any longer. I'm going to get into these Plan B options real quick because there was a mention of about the Edwards, FSG, even I think Mike Gordon, Lee Wiskett says something about Mike Gordon offering Klopp a blank check to stay. Basically, what it was for me as well as this. Okay, so these Plan B options are just, again, possible Plan B options that I'm thinking as being possible options, and also from what I've been reading as possible reports out there connecting some of these coaches to our club, apart from obviously Alonso. And I wanted to start off by the reason why I brought up the whole FSG thing is because this first quote is by Billy Hogan. Obviously, he's the CEO, okay, of the club, and he says, quote, "The way we operate as a football club is to ensure that we've looked at all the information, all the data, we've done our proper due diligence." He then goes on to say, "Then we'll make a decision and we'll have an announcement at that time." So if you think Edwards and Hughes don't know that it's the biggest decision from the jump, then you're kidding yourself. We all know that this is a major decision that is pertinent to us making any type of run for silverware. Got that, understood. We can all move on, right? But I think that now that we have Richard Hughes' appointment, now that we have made a point of saying, okay, Jurgen has decided that he's going to leave, so now we are going to bring in someone that at least we can feel comfortable was a part of that previous success formula, okay? Then we bring in, obviously, Edwards into the fold. It's going to be something of who do we go with? Who does Edwards, who does Hughes present as our next coach? Now, I know that Brighton's Roberto De Zerbi is out there. I've even heard, I've even heard Newcastle's Eddie Howe as being a possible addition to this club. That one was wild. I know that one was a wild one.
And the guy number 2 with him. Oh,
yeah, God. Exactly. I heard that name. I was like, really? I'm gonna write it down, but really? Lanz's Frank Heiss, excuse me, which is a possible addition too. But obviously we have Ruben Amaran, excuse me, let's say Amaran. Ruben Abraham as being a possible selection, being possibly now the top choice. Julian Nagelsmann being another strong candidate now. Certain that he was on the list at least of names that possibly could be out there. I think a name that's not on the radar for a lot of people, but considering that the acquisition of Endo has brought me to the attention of Stuttgart. Okay. Sebastian Hoeneß. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Hoeneß.
Okay. Hoeneß. Mm-hmm. Could be a possible. I'm only saying that because look, you got to recognize the fact Stuttgart has done really well this year, and the coach is a very good coach, young coach too, in coaching standards. 41-year-old guy definitely could be it. These are all just names again that I'm putting forward. And then if we want to stay with the actual Dutch influence that we all understand and recognize is a part of our club,
until it's not.
Yes.
Until it's not.
What's that?
No, but until it's not,
Oh, until it's not. Until it's not. Oh,
that stuff can walk out the door, man.
Sure. But I'm just going off of what we currently do have, and we do have a Dutch influence that is certainly present in this club. There are some names that have been mentioned out there for players wise that we still might be interested in. We could go with an Arne Slot. Okay, he's someone that could be someone that we go with. Obviously, we could also go with what Stefano just possibly chose or put out there. We could go with Pep Linders, revisiting or circling back and possibly going with Pep Linders as a choice, maybe.
He said he's going.
Oh, I get that. But
he literally confirmed he's going. So okay. I know.
I know that you're saying that, but yeah. I'm going off of what I literally just got some reports that they've actually considered trying to tempt him not to decide on going back to Holland. But all the same, let's just get through this. Lille's Paulo Fonseca could also be a name out there. These are some of the names that I have on there, out there as being possible choices or selections that we could go with. And these choices are because, again, of what was just mentioned, and that is the fact that Hogan put it out there. They take all the data, they crunch it into the algorithms, and they make sure that they're going to go with a player, or excuse me, a coach that's going to fit these players, fit the system that they want to go with, fit the spending cycle or spending tendencies that they do with the certain players that they bring in, and make sure that coach is comfortable with that arrangement. And these are all names out there that have been either put out there by some of the top journalists out there that have done some articles, and also just myself, crunching some of my own little data that come up with some of the kind of concepts or players or coaches that I think could be available or be options. Is there any name that I mentioned or I didn't mention that you could see being a candidate? I'll go with you, Brian, first, and then I'll go to JK with his choices. And then you guys in the chat, be sure to put in, if it's a name that I didn't say, please do put in who you think could be a possible too.
Well, this goes back to what we were speaking about earlier on, that the obvious, inverted commas, obvious choices, the overcoat managers, the class managers aren't out there. Everybody out there now is pretty much a gamble to go to a club our size. They're all, they all can have wonderful careers, and then they get, especially the media Shark Tank in England, as much as anything else, the pressure, the pressure, all of that stuff that you can't really you can't find out until you go into battle. You just don't know until you know. So this is what the data, the analyst has to be as good as possible, because you can't predict who can handle the pressure of doing it, but you can work out the other stuff to the best of your ability, knowing that you're bringing in someone who, if he can handle it, will be a top quality coach. You've got people like, Mata that I mentioned a couple of times. You've got loads of people out there. And I'm not going to pretend to be that kind of expert to can say, oh yeah, Fonseca, like I've seen him mentioned, but there's these guys that have always been on the edge. And the problem is, you don't know if one of these people can manage a big club until they get a big club job. It really, like, even if they go from Southampton to Brighton to Aston Villa, and then it's like, even then, you just don't know if they can do it or not. A lot of it comes down to be able to command the dressing room, the respect of players, to be able to attract players. We spoke about it. We can't ignore it. We spoke so many times about lovingly, and about how this player really wants to play for Klopp. He'll come to Liverpool because he wants to play for Klopp. So that's a thing. So you need a manager that can attract players. It's not enough alone. Oh well, it's Liverpool. We can. No. You've got to have players that are looking at a manager going, yeah, I want to play for that guy. He's going to, it's not just a club. He's going to bring me up. So this is one of the most important decisions that this club has had to make in a very, very long time. Really, maybe it was obvious to say maybe it's the Brendan one, but maybe even before that, in terms of what we did. We won't, our above the line appointments, as I said, like the guys up in head office, that can change. If that doesn't work out, if Richard Hughes isn't working out, we can quietly replace him. But the manager has to be right. The players have to be right. But I keep saying this: there's nobody out there that can tell you that Amorim is better than Nagelsmann, and Nagelsmann is better than Fonseca, and Mata is better than Arne Slot, and this, because nobody knows until they get to Liverpool, until they get to the Premier League, because it's a Shark Tank, man. The night, you know, like you think we're box office now when we're doing well, and everyone has to, like, no one can say a bad word about us. You know, like Klopp, everyone was, you can't say anything about Klopp because they're doing well. Imagine the second a new guy comes into Liverpool, oh, they're not doing well. It happens real quick, man. You need thick skin. And that's why I said before, the fans need to hold the line. We really need to hold the line with a new manager. Don't break. Do not break, because he's our manager when we come in. If times get tough, we need to hold the line with these guys, because everyone will want us to break and sack him and get rid of him and become that Liverpool. Oh, sack him and get rid of new guy. That doesn't work. Sack him and get rid of him. You know, get it right, hold the line, give him a couple of years. But, you know, I am being optimistic. You know, he's going to have to get results. We all know that. It'll be about results from day one. You know, it will be. It'll come down to that. So we've got
right. No,
you know,
I'm laughing because Lee was saying, "Can we start by ruling out Tuchel and take it from there?" I think that's something we can all agree on. We can all agree on the panel on that one. There's a couple of names out there, at least out in the Twitterverse or Xverse or whatever you want to call it. You know, out there that I would definitely, like Southgate. Scratch that off with a Sharpie, you know. Yeah, and then Thomas Tuchel would be another name on there that I would definitely scratch off as being a possible. It wouldn't be if he were to do it, though. It wouldn't be the first time that Tuchel has taken over a gig after Jurgen, actually. So I don't know. About that one though. I'm not on board. Yeah.
What Brian was saying there about the next guy and stuff, you got to understand that we Liverpool fans have always been a club where we give players and managers time, and I think in the last, say, decade or so, coinciding with the use of social media, we've sort of changed our energies as fans. You know, our fan base has got a lot of people who want Klopp gone, even now. We have to understand that, you know, even last season, there was a lot of people who were against Klopp. So that's the sort of fan base we were sort of developing into, you know. That sort of separated us from other clubs, your Uniteds, your Chelsea's. Chelsea lose the game, they want the manager gone, you know. I don't want to turn into a club like that. So whoever the new guy is, and it could be Almiron, it could be the guy from Stuttgart. They're doing pretty well this season. They're third in the league, Bundesliga. Sporting are second in the league. So they're doing sort of well, these guys, this year. But I just believe that whoever comes in, we've got to have patience with the guy. We can't be the new modern era of Liverpool fans who, after a week or 2 weeks or even a month, we're sort of getting on his bro. That's the modern day football.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
You know?
There's going to be, it's going to be the case. I mean, look, how many people were against Endo, or how many people were like calling out, the Darwin Nunez signature. Some have certainly changed their tune as of late, but certainly so. I mean, it doesn't mean that those of us that do have memories, didn't know or didn't recognize the fact that some of the loudest voices were those that were saying no so early before even giving these guys an opportunity. I'm going to go through some of these chats as well real quick, and then I'll get into some of these questions for the panel as well. Let's see. There was a question here that says, what about Xabi for Barcelona? When he leaves, where does he go? Could he be a possible name that gets added to this list? I don't know about that one. I don't know. I don't know if his style and his I don't know if his style exactly and presence exactly fits Liverpool. Yeah, I'm not saying it's a no go, but I'm just saying I just don't know if that's the case.
Yeah. I think the way he's second in the league there, so all these guys are sort of doing okay. Not great, not number one place, right? They're up there, sort of. So Xabi, Almiron, the guy from Stuttgart, they're all sort of up there, and they're not sort of failing this year.
Almiron plays for Newcastle.
It could. I think if one of them guys wins the league, this season, that's going to put him at the front of the queue to be the Liverpool manager.
Yeah.
It ain't going to
I
hurt him,
mean,
you
like,
know?
yeah. Xavi has announced that he was leaving Barcelona at the
Yeah.
end of the year. Philip goes on to say, LFC, he says, Zidane has come out and said he wants to get back in management, but I don't think he wants to come to England to manage anyone, in Philip's opinion.
He's always said that. Zidane has always said that. But this is the other thing, just quick. Liverpool, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, potentially Inter Milan, maybe if someone moves, potentially to other clubs, maybe in England, maybe Man United potentially, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, all looking for new managers. It's not just us.
It's not just us. Yes. So there's going to be some people that get stuck with choices that weren't exactly their first choice as well, you know, for sure. Or we're going to have to do what we're doing in a sense of, hey, you know, it's if you think it's difficult to be the manager of a Liverpool, you know, like as Tommy how he's doing it with
Tommy two times
of Bayern Munich, you know, ask some of these guys that have taken on some of these roles, like and it's not going to be easy. Bayern Munich is not expecting for you to like target, you know, making Champions League as being the target that you put on your achievements list, you know, for Bayern Munich.
You know what else is going to happen,
or for Barcelona especially too. Yeah,
you know what else is going to happen because of this is with this manager merry-go-round, or you know, people moving, people waiting, players are going to be missed out on. Players are going to be missed out on because teams won't have managers in place. They won't have, you know, time to get, you know, with all these guys, you know, Bayern we wait too long, you know, and a certain player might also be gone who we might, you know, you got to get not just the right man, but you've also got a guy that if he's good enough to manage Liverpool, he's good enough to manage Bayern Munich. If he's good enough to manage the two of them, he'd be good enough to manage any other job that comes up. So we will not have a free run at anybody, especially now that Alonso has not filled any of those gaps by moving to, say, Bayern. He's not going anywhere. So there's work to be done, and there's a lot of work. Like let's be fair to this guy, Hughes and company. It's not like he's come. It's like, oh yeah, you know, welcome. That's your office over there. Now we'll get you that chair now in a few minutes, and now desk there. And by the way, new manager, please. Like just boom, Jurgen Klopp, most successful manager in the last 20 years. He's leaving. Replace him, please. That's your first job in the in-tray. Replace Jurgen fucking Klopp.
Big job.
That's you know.
Yeah. Good luck. Yeah. I'm going to bring up this last one or two quotes here, or not quotes, or comments. Excuse me. Ian goes, manager has got to fight for the club and the fans, keep the fire and emotion in the fan base, and that bond between manager, players, and crowd. Which that's a very, very difficult task, by the way. You get all that right, then you have some force to unleash. And I think that was
yeah, I get you, Pops.
Okay, yes. Oh, and I see Pops is I see Pops. I think Brian just elaborated on it earlier, actually.
I did,
yeah.
Pretty kind of, basically. And also what Pops was referring to there, which someone else mentioned earlier on, was the other thing that we said about Klopp from day one, which was number one, number two, maybe for some reason, or for some people of the reasons why he was most successful, was that he gets the club. He gets the fans. He connects
that was what
so,
whenever I get asked, that's the first thing I led with, is that he gets the club. Like, so he understands the fabric, you know, the fabric that makes this club what it is. And I think that's why I could see him being that person for us. But
yeah. And that's what I was on about, the personality. The guy who comes in has to have the same sort of personality of having a big brain, not just being one focused guy on the pitch, what's happening on the pitch. to be focused on what's happening in the city, what's happening with the people in the city and stuff like that. Liverpool is a big family, and but I just wish Klopp did more against the owners in the time he was with us regarding ticket prices, regarding shirt sales, regarding price things on like what the club sells and stuff on the price list for them things. You know, I think Klopp could have done that. That's what I was saying about FSG being like tough cookies in a sort of way, where if a guy can't like Klopp can't do things like ticket prices and football kit prices, having a word with them and stuff, I don't think any guy can really say anything, you know. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, I wanted to get into some other news, okay? Some happy news, let's say, you know, because we all watched the Legends game, and you know, most of us were gleaming over the fact of like we got to see some names and some players that, you know, we grew up cherishing, you know, grew up enjoying what they brought to us, whether it was titles or whether it was just play, whether it was just character, you know. There was a lot that was on display in the Legends match. I know that we ended up, the Legends somewhat took the identity of this current team by going down early, you know, and having to battle back to win the game. You know, second half Liverpool basically. But one of those players that was partaking in the weekend affair was El Nino, and Torres is going to actually be spending the weekend here in Liverpool this upcoming weekend, and he's actually here all week, to tell you the truth. He's going to be observing the Reds' preparations for the clash against Brighton. He's going to also, he's, as some people might or might not know, he's actually Atletico Madrid's youth side coach for the
he's their coach.
What's that?
Yeah, no, I was saying, yeah, he's there doing a job there, yeah.
Yeah, and he's decided to take some time to watch how Jurgen goes about, you know, preparations, how he goes about conducting, you know, the training, and just how he engages. What makes Jurgen such a great coach in the sense of by being there firsthand to see, you know, that's the best way to do it. So, so yeah, he's going to watch this this upcoming week. He'll be here this weekend at the game against Brighton, which will be kind of cool to see. I'm sure if those people that are going to the game, you know, maybe you get lucky to get a selfie with El Nino. Be pretty cool. If you do, be sure to tell us. I'd love to see that. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting on that light. And speaking of Brighton, I wanted to go over some of the players that we have coming back. These are some reports. These are the reports at least with Konate. Konate just came off, you know, obviously against Sparta Prague for us in that first leg. But Klopp insisted it was just a precautionary measure, revealing that the center back had told him, quote, "I thought if I had another sprint, then it could be bad." The Frenchman was even optimistic about his chances of making the Premier League clash with Manchester City, but he didn't feature at all in that fixture before the break. The good news is that he should be available to make his return against Brighton. Let me repeat that. The good news is that he should be able to make his return against Brighton after being given obviously extra rest days before his French duty. Because I know some of us were like, you know, why didn't he play for us in that matchup that we had against United? But all the same, he is expected to be available for.
He got 90.
Yeah, got a full 90.
He got 90, yeah.
Yep. Another name, and again, this is so sad because this list is going to be a little bit lengthy, so please do bear with me, the panel and the chat included. But I'm sure some of this news is going to be hopefully good news for you guys. Gravenberch, you know, obviously it was a absolutely horrendous tackle by Moises Caicedo. Bum that guy. That's just my personal opinion. For more reasons than one. but but yes, the blow was a very the knock that he took was a very bad knock, but not bad enough that it was going to be season ending. So that was good to see that it wasn't at least that sort of an injury for him. Klopp has confirmed that Gravenberch's ankle ligament was damaged at a press conference 2 days after getting that knock, but the midfielder has now sat out 6 games in total. But he was on the bench against United, didn't feature in that game. So obviously we're looking to see him be possibly a selection for Brighton. I agree with you, Alexander. We most likely will have to rely on him for one reason or not in that Brighton matchup, just to kind of get us, get us over the line. And on top of that, it will be good because I like seeing players that are coming back from injury at least play at home as opposed to trying to play on the road. That's just my personal opinion on that one. Okay. For Curtis Jones, some would say if there wasn't bad luck, there wouldn't be any luck sometimes for Curtis, the way that he's gotten some of these injuries. Okay. But, for that said, the 23-year-old, it's kind of crazy. He's 23 now, but the 23-year-old suffered a slight setback with an ankle sprain during the Brentford matchup, but we should see him back. And this is originally it was put that Pep Linder said he predicted he would be out until around the March international break. Obviously, that's what we're in right now, or getting out of right now. But the Red assistance coach was obviously spot on with that, because it is now being said that he will be a possible selection from the bench, at least for this Brighton matchup. That's positive to hear. I'm glad to hear that. The bad news, obviously, was that Andy Robertson got hurt in his international or friendly. It sucks because that international friendly was just that, a friendly. It wasn't like it was necessary for him to be a part of that matchup. That hurts a lot, albeit he is probably slated to not play hopefully a full 90 out of that one, but it doesn't, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. He didn't even get to finish a whole half because, our left back that was coming back from a dislocated shoulder that he got in against, again, international play against Spain in October, is now having to deal with scans. He says Klopp said he won't train today, being Friday. He said he won't train today, but it's not as bad as initially thought. So that's fine, and that we're going to take it day by day. I know, basically, I don't know. Sometimes when I hear that comment, I'm like, don't we all take it day by day? But anyway. The other announcement, again, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Klopp was upset by suggestions that Liverpool had forced Alexander to return to action before he was fully recovered from the knee injury. He was very intimate about that, at least. It says as for the Arsenal matchup, at least. He says, however, such uncomfortable questions were inevitable after the right back suffered discomfort in the same area during his comeback against Burnley. Klopp has insisted at the time that it was nothing really bad, but Alexander-Arnold hasn't been seen since. Obviously, we've seen him in a knee brace. We've seen him in, obviously limited. He's been on the bench in the sense of not bench, but been in with the team. But obviously we've seen him with the knee brace and everything else. Look, there is a chance, and that's again, he's not back in training yet, but there is a chance of him being fit for the April 7th fixture against Manchester United. That's what we have so far as being the reports that I've come across. Again, it's just a long list. I hate that. Diego Hata, Diego Hata, Diego the Shata for some of us, they say, the Forest knee injury against Brentford came as a big blow to Liverpool, obviously. That's obviously a massive understatement because this guy was in form. He was scoring. He was, we all love the fact that he's possibly one of our most, deadly assassins when it comes to our front five. The initial diagnosis was hardly encouraging, as everyone knows, because it's a knee injury, and we know his history with the knee. But Liverpool are saying that it would be optimistic that we would see him towards the tail end of the season. However, this is a big however, according to Klopp, Diego could return to action next month. Again, targeting that Old Trafford matchup as being the matchup that we might see Diego come back. I don't even understand how that could be possible, but I'm not even going to question it in the sense of if that's the case, more power and credit to our medical staff and more who's gotten a lot of stick. Me, namely, has definitely called them out for it. If they've been able to somewhat get him on the levels of being able to mediate that injury to the point where he is or could be available, hey, we got to give props are due. Alisson Becker, February did not start well, as we all know, with that injury to him. And it was a lot of big question mark as to why and how he got the muscle injury, in training. His exact return date was a mystery. Okay. But hey, you know what? A lot of us have really warmed, and some of us have always been confident of Kelleher being able to fit the bill for us, to hold down the fort for us, because Klopp was seen on social media earlier this week telling a Liverpool fan that the Brazilian was still at least a fortnight away from returning. So I don't know what a fortnight away from returning means. If you call me a football romantic, that's a football romantic style a way of saying something. A fortnight. Okay. All right. Very interesting way to put it.
2 weeks.
Bajcetic, Stefan Bajcetic, someone that, some of us have been optimistic of seeing this year, much less at all this year. He falls into that. I don't even want to get into the other name that I was going to about to announce. But anyway, Bajcetic, obviously is a big name for us and everything else. But the hope remains that he will be able to return to action before the end of the season. The quote is this, and this is a Klopp saying this on Friday. Stefan is now in partial training with the under-21s and will be in full training with the under-21s next week because we will not really train because we are playing all the time. So again, because we have so many games involved, some of these guys got to have obviously downtime to recover, and we won't have that many opportunities to have training, all-out training sessions with some of these with the players. So it says Bajcetic is a smart kid. I think he will be fine. I forgot he played for us earlier in the season, and everything went the wrong way. But now he's nearly back, and he says I'm happy for him and for us. Okay. There are two other names on this list, but I'm going to leave them for tomorrow. I'll bring them up tomorrow in the things. Out of all those names, Brian, who are you most
We're back in the stream.
to see back in the fold?
We're back in the stream. What is the not interested, but more vitally, I want to see Alisson back. I mean, I want to see Alisson come back, and then I'd like Jota back just because of his goal scoring ability. But I'm surprised that he's even a conversation because it looked like he was much more likely to be a kind of, look, we're not saying he's out for the season, but he pretty much will be out for the season kind of thing. That's what I thought that was going to be. But it looks like they got him back. And so his goals and Alisson's saves plus his goals, I think that's the most important. But I mean, you've got Trent as well. How can you not say Trent? But just looking at it, to add a few more goals up top and for Alisson to be back would be awesome. But I think maybe Ali looks more likely than Jota, right? From what I can see.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it's a hard one because you're talking about Jota, Alisson, and Trent are three hugely important players, and that's before you even get to someone like Jones, who allows us a bit more. What's the word? Not rotation, but a little more leg room in midfield.
Mm-hmm.
Just have one extra guy in there. So if I was to put them in terms of importance, that's why you'd have to say Ali to get him back. You know, to go as many games as possible. So to get them all back, like they did say it from day one, they were kind of looking. Look, we're going to say we're not going to give dates. We're going to say this batch of players, Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
This batch of players, Man United. And it seems like it's still the same players. It's the same players that were hopefully back for the Brighton game are back for the Brighton game. And it's now, Trent is running, but won't be, you're looking at Man United for him. You're looking at Man United for Alisson, but it's a massive bonus that we're even talking about Jota.
Yeah.
If you add him, look, put him in, he gets us, I'm going to be optimistic, right, and say over the course of the two competitions, another 7 goals maybe between now and the end of the season, maybe 4 in the league and 3 in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
That won't hurt at all. And we don't have anyone else out there that can actually just do that, not be a major player, but still chip in with goals. We're asking like Zidane's and people like that now at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what JK thinks, but for me, I think we're missing that. But Ali, maybe number one, most important back, 50-50 with Trent. I don't know. Hard call, man.
That's a hard call. Hard call. It is. Mm-hmm. So you're basically saying if there's any name on there that you'd want to see back first, it would be either Trent or what was the other name?
Ali. Like if you were to say to me one of them could be fit tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the question to the chat too. Yeah. If there's one player that was fit or that you could say you could do the magic sponge on,
or not tomorrow, Sunday. Sorry,
first Sunday, for this weekend. Let's just say, for this weekend. Because obviously you might even want him to get like a train session in there or something like that, just to get familiarized. But like, if let's say you could do the magic sponge and be able to get a player completely fit and ready to rock and roll for a full 90, what player for you in the chat would it be out of that long list? And Brian, who was it for you? You're saying. I know you're on the fence between Trent.
Oh no, I won't sit on the fence anymore. Like it would be Ali just to bring back that kind of rock, the main men are back, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just that, and then the others can come afterwards.
Got you.
Yeah, but man, it is like I think we're coping okay without Trent a little bit. Are we? Are we doing okay? I'm not sure.
Wow, I can tell you this much, JK. Let me get JK's answer. So I can see the chat is undeniably on one player. But let me hear yours, JK. Don't look at the chat. Hopefully, you haven't looked at the chat and got influenced.
No. I'm gonna go with the Alisson as well.
You're gonna go with Ali?
When he starts, I just feel solid. I just feel we've got the best world keeper in the world in goal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's carry on.
Interesting. Okay. Look, I asked the chat. What their answer would be. Look at this, man.
It was unequivocal.
Pick up Nalante, by the way. He said Diego, Alexander, Diego. Stefano, Diego. Keep it real, Diego. Lee, Diego. Ian, Diego. Philip, Diego or Ali. But Diego was first mentioned, it's undoubtedly Diego is the choice.
Oh, it's unequivocal. It's the definition of unequivocal right there. I mean, that's got to be 99.9% Jota. So
yeah.
As I was saying it out loud myself, look, as I was going to say, if he can get us another 10 goals between the end of the season, but nobody scores freaking 10 goals. That's elite numbers. So I was thinking, okay, maybe 7.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and as I'm thinking, it's yeah, we could like Ali will win us games to a degree, but the goals, yeah, man, it's a really hard call to say who would make
Tough question.
the biggest, yeah.
No one's mentioned Jones.
Yeah, I don't think he's the first
As
one I
important.
need back,
Mm-hmm.
or I need back, as if we need back. You know,
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like I'm. It's interesting to see that I look. You know, we want all of our players back. Obviously, let's not even go down that road. You know, but it's just I just find it like interesting. I mean, because there was a part and point when Diego was being said that he was not the first in. He was like they wanted him to be the first out at some points. You know, being during when he was
look,
like,
yeah,
you know, when he was going dealing with like his own pursuit at getting healthy and getting back into the lineup, even when he went on that little lengthy extended scoring drought that he went on. But
a year,
yeah, but
over
now it's
12
like
months, over
but
12.
now
But
it's
hey,
like
look,
yeah,
things change,
it's like
man. Things change. But let's not drag up old dirt. You know,
no, no, I
you
know.
know. So like,
I get you.
he is what he is now. He is what he is now. You know what he was
No,
2 years
I'm
ago
happy
was
to
a
see it.
different
I'm if
proposition.
anything, Brian, I'm happy
Yeah,
to see it. That's why I'm bringing it
good,
up. That's
good,
the only
good.
reason why I'm bringing it up. Because I'm
Okay.
happy to see people recognize the fact that, you know, Hata the Shata is like just that. He is a crucial component of this club to have and an amazing asset to have for this club. You know,
Goals are currency, man. Goals
yeah,
are currency.
it's
Okay.
obvious. I can see
And
that.
when we're
I
in
can see that.
this is not a start of the season new project. This is basically the final home stretch now. This is all the nonsense is behind us. There's no more international breaks.
Right.
This is the real like when you win a league kind of time. This is where you have to step up, and this is where it gets won and lost. You know, it's going to be I think a tight run in. No one's winning this by 7 or 8 points now from this position.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
goals in crucial games. Yada, he's the kind of guy who can pop up and just score a goal off the bench. So that could be absolutely massive for us.
Yes, absolutely. Because obviously you're not going to. I mean, we said magic sponge, so that would mean that he's starting. But I don't think that you necessarily, with the injury that he sustained, I don't think that any of us are necessarily looking for him to be like a full 90 player or something along those lines. But I agree. It's from what, like for instance, what Stefano was saying. Trent obviously helps a lot, but Diego helps the bench, and we've been great at changing games off the bench. What I was going to say is that, like, for me personally, I can understand your shouts for Ali. Obviously, Ali would be a great, having, arguably the best keeper in the world returning to the pipes would be great. But I don't necessarily, if it meant like if Kelleher had to hold down that role, I wouldn't be like woe is me at this moment. And I think that Kelleher's definitely did an exceptional job for us, and I think that he understands that this is an opportunity for him to showcase his talents even more so than ever. And then also, I can understand the Diego shouts by the Mighty Reds Army here. I could definitely understand that as well.
He's going Thiago. He's going Thiago. JK. Run interference.
Yeah,
JK, run interference. He's going Thiago.
Run interference.
He's going Thiago, man.
Cut. No, I'm not going Thiago, people. I'm not. Don't worry. You don't have to do earmuffs. You don't have to like hold your ears. I was personally going to say it kind of broke down to me as to one player I would have gone with. It was between Curtis Jones, and it was also for me between Trent Alexander-Arnold. I get that everyone has definitely gotten so warmed to the thought of this great right back that we have in Connor Bradley. But I just know that I remember that the whole concept or the whole reason why we are even remotely around the bend, like how we even remotely got a hold of the wheel, and got us back on track to being this team was because of Trent Alexander-Arnold, because of his transition into that inverted role, ever since that moment, because let's just be honest, because I got a lot of shtick for this of me even saying that we even get close to top four, of me even saying we get top four, much less as ending up in top five or getting a fifth role.
Man, I had us winning the league from day one. I'm sorry, but I don't. If anyone gave you stick for top four, then they're just a troll. I had us winning.
Oh no. This is for last year, by the way. This is for last year. Not for this
last year.
Well, yes. Last year I got when we were in 10th place, when we were in 10th, I think at the moment I made a statement out there. I made a post on Twitter and I made a couple of statements on a couple different channels saying that we're going to get top four. Had a hashtag, it had the whole 9. We end up getting 5th place, which sucks. But at the time I made it, we were in 10th place, and everyone at that moment, there was a lot of cop outers. There was a lot of like the whole.
I said it was just as big a part of that as well.
Yeah. And you know how the stick that I get, like, obviously people are gonna be like saying what they had to say about the reasons why I felt so confident. But I mean, I thought that when we played Arsenal in that matchup, and we actually saw, the transition of what we know and see Trent today as playing for this, at least for this Klopp system of being inverted, by being involved in both right back / being in the midfield at times, if not further advanced in the attack, centrally, even most notably, not just always bombing down the right wing. I said that, like, look, we're bringing about a dynamism to this team that is going to be incredibly pertinent to our success going forward. And I think that one of the things that we're not necessarily, I love the play we're getting from Connor. I love everything that we're able to receive by the balance, as a lot of people want to put it as out there. I just think that Trent is arguably the most dynamic, the most creative, the most amazing talent on this team, and bringing him back into the fold will create those opportunities for Salah, for Nunez, for possibly even like Lucho or Diego when he comes back, or I think that creativity is something that I think that personally we have not had to the level we have when he's in the lineup.
So you're saying Trent?
Yeah, I say Trent.
So you're saying Trent? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
long story short. Trent.
Long story short. Trent Alexander.
Long story short.
We've gone all the way back to Arsenal last year.
Oh, I had to bring context into it. I had to bring context.
And you did. You backed up a truckload of context.
Hey, context is, as you said, goals are currency. Context is currency sometimes too.
Yeah. No, it's just if you're saying to me for the game on Sunday,
for the game against Brighton, yes,
I'd still think I'd go with Shaw. And I had a really nasty thought. I don't like having nasty thoughts. Not one of those kind of nasty thoughts, by the way. A different kind of nasty thought. I would have been so much happier, and we're still doing okay. But not that if Gakpo had got injured, but if it was Gakpo that had been out instead of Jota,
it would have been a different.
I think we would. Not that we'd be, blowing anyone away, but I think, I would. If you said to me, you can take Gakpo out of the team for 4 weeks or Jota out of the team, I'd leave Jota. I'd want Jota in all the time. But I just think it's good news. Like, I think after this game tomorrow, the injury sort of projections, or the players who are going to be back for next is going to go way up. We're all of a sudden we're going to be looking at potentially everybody basically. you know, and let's hope someone else doesn't get a knock in between there. But we're not far off. We're not far off having it pretty good. Going from what, a month ago, and we're sitting there doing like shows about Dan's and Clark and how great they are. You know, it's good to have some of the big boys back.
Yeah, it's good to have, like, we've got, this 10 games left in the season for at least for the Prem, and it's good to see or hear some of these names coming back into the fold of what is going to be a very, very difficult run. Despite, it's a difficult run for us, a difficult run for Arsenal, it's a difficult run for City. I'm not saying I wouldn't even go as far as to try to figure out who's got the harder or more difficult of a run, because obviously injuries and everything and such, whether it's the opponent's injuries or even your own injuries, can have a play in that. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of games, and I mean a lot of games involved in these next couple of months, and it's not going to get any bit easier for any of us, for any of us that are in this title race. But yes, and I wanted to make sure, yes, Pops, I am sticking with my choice. Okay. I am sticking with my choice of Trent, even though there was like, that little,
Pops in gladiatorial mode.
What's that?
Pops in gladiatorial mode. He's bringing out the predictions from last year. Pops is checking the receipts. He's got the logbook open. He's going through the ledger. He's just checking. He's like, yeah. You got Pops.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you're right.
Pops has got the gloves on tonight.
He says, I respect that.
The gloves on.
He says, I'll bring it up because, I'm definitely not going to be, I have Gladiator in me too. So I respect that, just like I respected your projection last season. But unfortunately, I saw that we would still fall short then. Okay, I got you. Yeah, and I got that. Look, it didn't help. It didn't help when we kind of sputtered towards the end with those two draws. That could have been actually the major difference in us getting to the line that we needed to. Didn't help. Again, let's not bring up Pester. I don't even know why I'm going down the road, because I don't even want to bring Salah's name into this. But anyway,
all in all, we were in a better position going into this game than we were, say, 2 months ago. So that's
yeah. I think that's the part and point of what I wanted to get at, is that after hearing what I just said about some of the updates with our returnees and such, I think that maybe we should kind of hold against at some of these doom and gloomers that are out there that possibly might want to use this. Oh, we're not getting this, or we're not getting that person, to kind of like, divert our attention. Our attention is on Sunday. Our attention is on beating Brighton. Something that we need to do. We have to do something that I'm sure De Zerbi is most likely looking at this as, hey, this could be an opportunity for me to showcase my managerial skills. It's the same way that some of these players that we play against who do nothing all year, but yet when it comes to playing against us, they want to all of a sudden shine. Right? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it always happens.
Always
happens.
Guy
never scored all season.
Never scored.
Liverpool and he'll score. It always happens. Happens.
Don't want any of that. Don't want any of those talks.
Yeah.
Just ask Eric Edmond.
What was that, Brian?
Just ask Eric Edmond. If you're old enough, ask Eric Edmond. One of the world's most forgettable left backs of all time. Just no one's ever heard of him. No one had heard from him. He played for Tottenham. He comes to Liverpool, comes to Anfield, and scores one of the all-time great Premier League goals. Never did anything before that. Never did anything after that. Comes to Anfield, bangs one into the top corner from 40 yards out, just like prime John Arisa. That's the classic. He is the classic example of a guy who never does anything, comes to Liverpool and does something like that. That used to happen to us all the time. It doesn't happen anymore. It's one of those things that just happens to happen when your club is shit, so you remember it. Basically, we made bad players look good on occasion. That used to happen in the old days. But Yeah, not so much now, but yeah, that is the worst thing. That like, oh, this guy, he hasn't scored a goal all season. He comes to Anfield, he scores a freaking hat trick. It looks like prime Rivaldo. Yeah, oh come on, man.
Yeah.
Playing
I
for
don't
Ireland,
know
that
about.
used to be the worst feeling in the world. Like,
Yeah. Nilante's saying he was a solid defender, though, Brian. That's what he was saying in that 2-2 game. He remembers.
who was?
Edmund, the guy you were saying.
The guy you're referencing.
Look at the goal. Look
Okay.
at the goal he scored.
Okay.
And this is the point. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Look at a guy who comes to Anfield and just like, who the hell is this guy? Never does it before. Never, like, literally, it was like a Roberto Carlos.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
I got you. Yeah. No, the
So would you call it a fluke? Because he only did it once.
No, if you meant it, look, when you hit it, if you don't buy, don't buy a ticket. But yeah, he connected.
That's true.
That man has never in his entire professional career connected with a ball better
like that. That was like one of those, like, yeah. He should have. He probably. I don't remember the celebration, but he probably should have looked at the camera the way that Naby looked at the camera when he scored that volley kick of his own. But let's see. Real quick, because we're gonna be landing the plane here. Appreciate each and every one of you guys that are in the chat here. Appreciate the panel, of course. It goes on to say, Philip goes to say, our two rivals for the title playing each other has no effect on our chances of winning the title, whatever way it goes, whether Arsenal or City win. I disagree with that, in that obviously if we win against Brighton and City win against Arsenal, we go atop completely on our own, completely by ourselves. No worrying about goal differential, no worry about any of that stuff. And that way we win out, we win the title. Simple as that. City could win the rest of their games and they still won't end up surpassing us. So if City wins, then cool. The best scenario, I think personally, would be a draw. Obviously, if there's a draw in that game, obviously then we go and we get the win. We go atop the league, and it means that we go atop the league and actually have a little bit of more separation between us and City, Arsenal and City. I think out of all the worst scenarios is if Arsenal ends up beating City, because then it means that not only do we have to win all of our games along with or keep pace with Arsenal, it would also mean that we have to make up that goal differential. And that is a little bit of a different case of circumstances. And that's something that, I don't want to get into, like, hey, we have to run up the score. I'm looking at, scores and such to kind of get to that final measure. So my case for that game is either best case scenario, it's a draw. Best second best scenario is City wins. And I know I just said that out loud, and it still hurts. It still hurts to say. It still hurts to say.
Weird,
I don't even know. It made me want to like smack my own self. So yeah. And then, obviously the worst scenario would be Arsenal pulling out the victory.
Yeah, because the confidence boost they'll get from that. Can you imagine them? Oh, God.
Yeah. Hey, who knows? I'm still hoping for us to open up another can of 7-Up, against Manchester United when we get to face them. But then again, I am on some Montoya, the Princess Bride style Montoya concept here, some art. So, Game of Thrones concept here of getting revenge. So that is what it is. But big up to everyone in the chat. Hey, we're gonna have another show tomorrow. Tomorrow is gonna be a really, really cool show to actually take part in. I'm definitely gonna need your contributions.
Not like last night's show.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Last night's show was a train wreck. If anybody was there for last night's show, fair play to you, because it was a train wreck. Nobody it really was. We were changing things. We were changing rules. We were changing tiers. It was It was massively unprofessional, I have to
Wait,
say, honestly.
Brian, you got to at least go.
We
beep.
should be ashamed
Wait,
of
Brian,
ourselves.
Brian, you got to at least go beep, beep, beep when you're backing the bus up. At least let us know. But
No, we gotta be
I
honest.
got you.
No, come on.
There's some of us that
it was a shambles.
There's some of us that appreciated the sense that we saw the error in our ways, and we wanted to make sure that we brought.
No, it was hilarious. No, it was hilarious. It really was.
So anyway, yeah.
It was.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on because all I want to say is tomorrow will be a cool show. Definitely gonna need some participation. I'm also going to. I wasn't able to bring out the Frankenstein productions that we've created.
Oh yeah, the guys, the monsters.
Yes, our Frankenstein productions. I'm going to bring that out tomorrow in tomorrow's show. So please do be a part of the show tomorrow. Big up to everyone that showed up today. Do you want to give a shout out real quick before we leave, Irishman? Other than
just,
no more shade, no more dirt. Let's just this is a nice shout out.
No, just go to Beijing Reds TV. I'll put the link there in the chat. Now go over to Beijing Reds TV because they're doing a call-in show.
Yep,
they're live now. I think they're live now.
They're about to be live, if not about. They're either about to be or are live currently.
Yeah, I'll just put the link there in the chat for the Beijing Reds. So
I can do that. Yeah.
No, it's all right. I put it in. So yeah, just everyone that's here, just go have a great weekend. If we don't see you again, go over to Beijing Reds.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be getting certain numbers. Certain boost of subscription numbers here to kind of like be able to. Direct you directly to some of the channels, to some of our brother and sister channels out there. So yeah, like as in I can't directly bring you right over to it, but I want to definitely say please do go and check that channel out because those are my guys, those are my brothers.
Yeah, the link's in the chat. Link is in the chat.
Okay, so big up. JK, did you want to give a shout real quick before we bounce? And
I just want to say big up to the chat. I like when the chat gets involved, gives their opinions. It's good to see what people are thinking, And subscribe to Beijing Reds and also to Frank. I put their links in the channel in the chat.
Yep.
And I look forward to Sunday. Back to the Premier League now this weekend. Thank God,
Yeah. Back to football. Outside of international, of course. Back to football for some of us, because some of us did, lift the trophy. Some of us did see our squads lift the trophy. Anyway, so yes, I'd like to thank everyone again for you joining us today. Hopefully, you'll be back with us tomorrow. If your watch clock, your phone says 7 p.m. UK time. Then, no matter what time it is in that 7 p.m. hour window, please do look for the Liverpool 12th Man Show. We will be trying to bring you the best of content that we can create and bring to you. Obviously, we just like the fact that we're able to be here with you guys, be here with you fellow Reds. Excuse me, be here with you fellow Reds. And until tomorrow, I hope that you continue to take care of yourselves and most certainly be able to take care of those loved ones that are with you in your lives. Look, it means something to us. It means something to me, especially, that we understand the fact that we're all we got and the fact that we support each other is immensely important. So again, I will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, take care.